Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, shall we? Today we're exploring Dr. Robert Peterson's fascinating lecture on how the Old Testament lays the corporate groundwork for our ultimate union with Christ. We're talking about the foundational concepts of incorporation and mediation. It's a journey that traces the roots of Christian theology deep into ancient history, revealing exactly how God has historically related to humanity.
So, here's a thought to kick things off. Is your relationship with God really just about you? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer actually completely shifts how we read the entire biblical narrative.
We've got this massive tension today. Our modern Western default setting is super individualistic. We tend to think almost exclusively in terms of I, me, my. We focus so much on our personal salvation and our personal walks. But the biblical default? It's profoundly corporate. It heavily emphasizes we, us, our.
Diving into Dr. Peterson's notes, there's a really crucial clarification to make here. Individual responsibility is never nullified. Personal faith is absolutely essential, but God fundamentally relates to his people corporately, meaning the literal second you are joined to Christ by faith, you are simultaneously joined to everyone else in his body. It's basically a supernatural package deal.
To unpack all this explainer is going to act as a roadmap through 6 quick sections, from the myth of pure individualism to the concept of covenant mediators, and then tracing that through Adam and Noah, Abraham and Moses, the royal line of David, and finally Jesus. All right, starting off with Section 1, the myth of pure individualism. Dr. Peterson hits the nail on the head with this quote. Our default American mode is highly individualistic, for sure, but we really can't forget that the Bible is, first and foremost, a corporate book. In the Old Testament, it's dealing primarily with the people of Israel as a collective whole, and in the New Testament, it's dealing with the church as a unified body. To understand the Bible correctly, we basically have to put on these corporate lenses.
Moving right along to Section 2, the concept of covenant mediators.
So what exactly is a covenant mediator? Well, think of them like a team captain or maybe an ambassador. When God makes a covenant, he does it primarily through a single individual who represents the whole corporate people. The actions, the obedience, or even the failures of this one individual are credited directly to the entire group they represent. It's just a foundational, structural reality of the text.
Dr. Peterson actually charts out the big 5 Old Testament mediators across these distinct biblical eras, from Adam and Noah representing early humanity, to Abraham and Moses forming the nation of Israel, all the way to David establishing the royal kingdom. You can really see how this progressive build ultimately leads toward a final climax. Which brings us to Section 3. Adam and Noah represent humanity. When we dig into the source material here, it's fascinating how Adam isn't just positioned as some historical guy, but as the actual covenant head for all of humanity. He and Eve were appointed as stewards, like little lords under the divine Lord, to cultivate God's creation. Because Adam was the covenant mediator, his role inherently impacted the entire human race.
And because Adam was our corporate representative, well, his fall ruined the standing for the whole group. As Paul notes in Romans 5, sin and death spread to all men because of this one man. Later on, this required Noah to step in as a kind of second Adam to represent humanity in a freshly restored post-flood world, receiving the exact same command to be fruitful and multiply.
Okay, Section 4, Abraham and Moses form Israel.
Comparing these historical eras, you can really see a massive shift. We go from God's sweeping grace for Abraham, choosing a man from a family of idolaters just to prove salvation is entirely of grace, to the strict legal structure of Moses 430 years later. Moses had a really tough job, you know? He stood between God and a very stubborn people, acting as their mediator even when things got incredibly rough. As one church history professor loved to joke, Moses essentially kept the Israelites from getting completely blasted.
And this clears up a super common misunderstanding. That overarching Abrahamic covenant of grace, it is absolutely never canceled out by the subordinate Mosaic law. The law was simply a temporary subset. Actually, to use Paul's imagery in Galatians, the law acted as a pedagogue, or honestly, more like a temporary jailer, to discipline and guide Israel during its childhood phase, pointing out their sins until the ultimate offspring, Christ, arrived.
Moving into Section 5, the royal line of David.
This promise to David in 2 Samuel is absolutely crucial. I mean, it's one of the most important passages in the Old Testament. It reveals that David's royal dynasty would be established forever, and it beautifully merges the concept of a human king with the divine title of God's son. The king of Israel would be a son to whom God is a father in a very special, eternal way.
As detailed in the lecture notes, this dual nature creates a really profound dynamic. The ultimate messianic king is not just David's human descendant, he is also his divine Lord. This is exactly how Jesus completely baffled the religious leaders in Matthew 22. He quoted Psalm 110 to show that the Messiah is both a man in David's line and the divine Lord sitting at God's right hand.
And finally, we hit our climactic resolution in Section 6, Jesus, the ultimate mediator.
Jesus steps in as the unique mediator of the new covenant, and he literally brings all those ancient, repetitive sacrifices to a screeching halt. As Hebrews points out, his perfect, absolute sacrifice offered through the eternal Spirit finally accomplishes the reality that the blood of bulls and goats merely pictured. Those old systems, they're completely obsolete now because the true reality has arrived.
This brings us right to Paul's beautiful summary in 1 Timothy. He confirms that Jesus is the singular, flawless representative bridging that massive gap between God and humanity. He is the ultimate second Adam, the greater Moses, and the eternal Son of David, redeeming believers from all ages, past, present, and future.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. If your spiritual identity is literally incorporated into the ultimate mediator's victory, how does that epic we reality radically reshape your me narrative today? When you're joined to Christ, you aren't just some isolated individual anymore. You share in his perfect standing, and you are woven into a historical, eternal community. Thanks for joining me, and keep exploring.